Hello, hello. Happy Sunday. As always, give me a thumbs up or something. Let me know you can hear me as you should be. But I think we're pretty good now. I think I've got it all sorted as I seem to have had no hiccups lately. But still let me know. All right, we've got a thumbs up. Awesome. Fantastic. All right, let's talk about something I hear all the time. And some of these that you may hear all the time as well, but it's really good to consistently talk about them, think about them, and have them top of mind, just so that we're always thinking about what's good for us, right? Because there's generalizations about what can help us and what can't help us. We're all different. So we all have different stages and types. Excellent, thank you. Stages and types of lipedema. We're all driven by different things, even though the main drivers are inflammation and hormones. It doesn't matter, right? So we've all got to consistently be on the lookout of what potentially are myths and what are not myths. So let's look at number one. And tell me in the comments if you've heard this before in your lifetime, at any time. I've heard it many times. And that is, you're just overweight. You need to diet more. People still think this, which is why I'm saying it, because there could be somebody new out there that has heard nothing about lipedema and is only just in this world, and have no clue that all the diets, all the millions of diets that they've done in their lifetime will not affect lipedema fat whatsoever. Um, and that's really sad. It's heartbreaking. If you've been there, you know. I know a lifetime of dieting. And at 55, it's like, wow, yeah, how many diets? And thinking it was my fault. But lipedema fat is different to normal fat if you're new here. If you don't know much about it, it's structurally different and it goes into an area of your body in the subcutaneous tissues where it cannot be dieted and exercised away, no matter how hard you try. I promise, can't happen. All right. The only way of getting rid of the lipedema fat once it's in there is to have it removed via liposuction, which is kind of the holy grail that most of us really, really want. Um, but it doesn't mean to say it's the be all and end all. It's not the final answer. If we continue to eat the things that we shouldn't or do the things that are inflammatory to us personally, I always bring it back to what's inflammatory for me is not inflammatory for you, and vice versa. We've got to find out for ourselves what our own particular drivers are for lipedema, right? So if you're new, lipedema fat is different and you cannot diet and exercise it away. Unfortunately, I'm going to say the vast majority of doctors, practitioners, naturopaths out there have no idea. And I know this because as a qualified practicing naturopath, clinical nutritionist, and herbalist, this did not come up in my 4 years of study, right? So we've still got work to do in getting the word out there, right? So that's myth number one. All right, you're not going to diet this away. You're not going to exercise this fat away. It is what it is. Um, all right. Oh, and how did I lose the weight? I lost it through gastric sleeve. However, the weight I lost was not lipedema weight. It was everything that was not lipedema weight. Okay. So people go, oh, but you lost 60 kilos. Yes. But I clearly, when I look in the mirror, and in fact, I'm going to be brave. I'm wearing shorts at this desk. I still have, I don't know if you can see, lipedema legs. Look at this, right? So I might fit in to a size 8 Australian, which I think is a 4 or a 6 American pants. However, I still clearly have lipedema and loose skin all over my legs because gastric sleeve may have helped me remove everything that wasn't lipedema, but the lipedema fat is still there. I have had it removed from my arms now. I've had a lower body lift. So everything from the waist up is looking pretty good. But the legs are a whole other journey because that's more specialized. Right. Myth number two. Um, so weight loss will fix the lipedema. So myth number one was you just need to diet it away. Myth number two is weight loss will fix it. And I just kind of answered that by showing you what I showed you. Weight loss in any form, whether you lose weight from keto, gastric sleeve, any other form of weight loss surgery, carnivore, any of that, you will lose weight. But lipedema has this thing where it attracts normal weight faster than if you didn't have lipedema. So it's kind of like a magnet to normal weight. So you don't just have the lipedema weight, the lipedema fat, because it takes a while for the lipedema fat to actually develop and get into a space where it can't be dieted and exercised away. And in the meantime, it attracts other fat, whether we like it or not. We just have to look at a pastry or look at a cream bun, in comes the weight, right? So while you may be carrying extra kilos, it won't all be lipedema fat. So you can lose weight, but you will not lose the lipedema weight, which is why my bottom half still looks like it looks, okay? In fact, if you Google online, I think it's anorexia and lipedema or something like that, there's a very clear shot of a young French lady who is anorexic, and so from the top half, absolutely skeletal, still has the chunky lipedema legs, all right? So it doesn't matter what you do, the weight loss will not fix the lipedema fat that is already in the interstitial tissue and already covered, surrounded by the fibrosis and that sort of thing. So that's myth number two. So while I might look great in thumbnails and that sort of thing with my jeans on and long pants, and that's pretty much all I wear when I'm out. Nobody sees, or long dresses, right? I don't wear these shorts are just for home. I don't wear those sorts of things out, so people don't see what else I've got going on. So it may look from a photographic perspective that, oh, I've lost all my lipedema weight. I have not, right? So I've only lost, I had lipedema in my arms. So because I had the liposuction and the loose skin surgery on that after the weight loss, then I got rid of it. If I have a lot of inflammation, if my hormones are out of whack, it will come back. It will come back. All right. Because this is a genetic issue. The liposuction doesn't fix it. It doesn't, that's not helping the root cause of it. All it is it's taking you back to a clean slate. That is it. So the weight loss, though, even though I cannot get rid of the lipedema component, unless I have the liposuction and the loose skin surgery and that kind of thing, it definitely helped with mobility. It definitely helped with pain. I don't mind. Will I ever love exercise? Probably not. But now I can walk for miles and it doesn't affect me. So while the weight loss doesn't remove the lipedema component, it still helps in a lot of other areas. It reduces inflammation, right? Because just having extra weight on the body causes inflammation to occur in the body. And we've already got inflammation from the lipedema component. And, we just need to mitigate that as much as we can. So the weight loss for me meant that I can exercise without, too much of a challenge or, without cutting it short, or if I'm walking all over Bangkok for, most of the day, it's not a concern for me anymore, right? So even though the lipedema fat is still there, by getting rid of everything that was not lipedema fat, which was 60 kilos, that's still a lot of weight. And because you put on all this weight and you go, for me, I go, oh, that's got to all be lipedema weight. That's also why I went into weight loss surgery thinking, this isn't going to help, right? Well, so much of it wasn't lipedema weight. It was just sort of holding me back from being able to lose that weight. So that's a complete myth that once you lose the weight, whether it's through weight loss surgery or whatever, that it's all gone. No, it's still there. It may look better. You may see, footage of people online that are like, oh no, I just did keto, I just did carnivore, and it's all gone. I reversed it, I solved it. No, no. If they've truly got lipedema, it's a genetic issue with the lymphatics. It ain't going away. It may look better. You can reduce the puffiness, you can reduce the inflammation, but the minute you get a little bit out of control again, it will come back. It will look, the way it did, sadly. So that's a myth. All right, myth number 3. Compression garments, that's all you need, compressions. That'll cure it. It's a great tool, awesome, and I use Fanker compressions, love Fankers. There's a discount code down in this box somewhere if you want that. However, I up until recently, up until last year, I never wore compressions. I And even then, when I got the compressions, I really didn't feel the need to wear them, and I just got them because everybody said, "Yep, you need them. You know, it'll cure it, it'll reverse it." Um, Lipedema Unfiltered. Hello, hi. What's your name? Good topic. Love it. Yeah, yeah. There's so many. There's so many good topics. Um, Compressions, while they're helpful, and particularly if you've got particularly lax skin, it holds everything together. But it depends on where you live, the heat. As I said, I wear the Fankers. I don't seem to have a problem with them in the heat here in Bangkok. They feel good. And I'm Beth. Hi, Beth. Nice to find you too. So I wear those, and I am going to do a trial because I'm in this space of, um, like I'm not overweight anymore. However, I've still clearly got the lipedema legs. I've never worn compressions every single day for 30 days or something to test if it really makes a difference. But because I'm doing all these trials all the time, I've got to like do them one at a time so I can tell the difference, right? But while compressions are a tool, if you have heard that they will fix it, they will fix you. No, that's a myth. They won't fix you. They're a tool. Nothing, they haven't figured out how to fix this. That's the bottom line, right? They're doing the research, they're putting, not a lot of money's being thrown behind this topic. So we've got as many people as possible, but the more we talk about it with each other, the more we have the conversations, the more we share our own experiences, then the more information that we'll get in general. And then the in general information that we do get, we still then have to tweak it to us individually because we're all unique. So, myth number 4, I'm looking at my list because I don't even pretend to remember this stuff. It's the same as lymphedema. And this can be a blessing and a curse, right? I have many times at hospitals said, "Oh, can you take my blood pressure here, not here, because I have lipedema?" And they go, "Oh, okay, lymphedema." And I don't argue with them. I know that they don't know any different. These are nurses, terrible, and a couple of doctors here and there. But they'll go, "Oh, okay, I know what that is," and they'll take the blood pressure there, which doesn't hurt. Okay, so sometimes it's kind of nice that a lot of them don't know the difference between lipedema and lymphedema. Now, in case you want to know the difference, the basics, we just talk the basics here. We're not talking science. Basically, lipedema, you are born with it. It is a genetic issue with the lymphatics. It is symmetrical. So it looks the same on both sides of the body. Lymphedema is usually when a lymph node has been removed, damaged, something like that. Often during breast cancer surgery, a lymph node is removed and one arm sort of will get. So lymphedema often presents as asymmetrical, so just the one side, right? Whereas the lipedema is symmetrical. You can get that though, lipolymphedema. You can have both. And that's generally because the lipedema has gotten so bad that it has damaged some of the lymph nodes and then causes you to go into lymphedema. So it's not the same. Okay. And lipedema is a fat tissue disorder. Lymphedema is a lymph fluid drainage disorder, which is why it can be asymmetrical, right? So very distinctly different. But however, if you're trying to get your way in a hospital or you're trying to get them to take your blood pressure somewhere other than your arm or whatever, and they say lymphedema, let them say it. Doesn't matter. Whatever as long as you can get what you need, doesn't matter. Okay, that's my top tip there. Just let it happen. Let them think that, and just maybe later on try and educate them. But they're not going to hear it if they don't know it now. Yeah. Anyway, that's that. So that was myth number 4. Myth number 5, surgery is cosmetic and vanity only. So this is an interesting one. I have heard people say, "Oh, look, there's no point. Like, why are you having surgery? You just need to lose weight." All the things, we've heard all sorts of things. But as I said earlier, and I have had it in my arms, as I said, so I've I've got a jumper on right now because I have got compressions on from my latest surgery. But let me get undressed for you. All right, so look at these fabulous arms. Although I still have lots of loose skin from the bottom half from the weight loss, um, uh, but when I had the removal of the loose skin and the liposuction here, my surgeon took photos, and it was really fascinating. She took photos of the fat inside my arm before she did the liposuction, all these balls, right? And then she showed me, fabulous woman she was, and she showed me the fat in my arm and the lipedema fat, and you could clearly see the difference between it. So, having surgery, it is not cosmetic, but oh my goodness, what a difference it makes if you've got a good surgeon, right? And it just changes your world. Um, Beth says, geez, the surgeries were life changing for me. My mobility is so much better. Pain is much less. Your arms look great. Yeah, I know. I love my arms. um, yes, surgery's life changing. Have you had your legs done? Because I've only had lower body lift, my arms, and I just literally 2 weeks ago, I had a breast lift and a side lift. But that was all more, that stuff is more from the weight loss than the lipedema. Have you had your legs done, and where did you have them done? If you wouldn't mind sharing with everybody, that would be amazing. Um, so a lot of people complain. I've seen in a lot of lipedema groups that have gone different places to have lipedema surgery on their legs specifically, and complain that it is not aesthetic enough and that sort of thing. And then other people come in and say, I'd be happy just to walk without pain, right? So it's so different for everybody, and we should really never judge everybody's different feelings around their body. If I could never have my legs done, because I saved the money before we moved to Bangkok, we saved the money for me to have these other things done, right? Great. I didn't save the money to have my legs done because I actually didn't think I was going to have them done. So Beth says, yes, I had calves done first, then thighs, then arms. I went to Roxbury Institute in Salt Lake City, Utah. Dr. Smart, where did you have yours? Okay, well, I'm from Australia, Beth, and so the doctor that did my arms is in Perth, Dr. Arm, and there's a video on here somewhere if anybody wants to watch that and scope her out if you happen to live in Perth. I did the lower body lift, the side lift, boob lift here in Bangkok. We moved to Bangkok last September. So I had that done here because those things are bread and butter for medical tourism here. They're very good at what they do. The hospitals are next level and amazing. And I was extremely confident with my choices, and I've had very good results. So that's been a good move. But the legs, I will be looking at, because that's now, I'm like, originally I decided I wasn't going to because I knew it was such a big surgery. But now I'm like, oh, you know what? I want my legs to match the rest of my body and how I feel now. And so I'm saving the money for that. And I will be looking at probably Turkey, Spain, potentially Germany, although Germany's a top tier budget. Um, yes. So I'm looking at a few different options, although I am still scoping out lipedema specialists here in Bangkok because I'm willing to bet I will find a couple. And I've found a couple of specialists in Malaysia. So that's just over the border for us here. So that's not so far. I'm trying to find somewhere where I potentially don't have to fly there, because if you have to fly somewhere for this sort of surgery, often you need to stay for a good 4 weeks for your legs to be done. And in your case, where you've said, Beth, that you had your calves, then your thighs, then your arms, I have actually spoken to my surgeon that did this stuff in Bangkok when I had my boobs done last week, a couple of weeks ago. I asked him, what did he know about lipedema? Because I knew that they had the liposuction machine that was the lipedema version approved, or what it is, the water one. Sorry, that's the technical version from me. And he said to me, so I said to him, I said, look, there I was, half naked, because he just finished drawing all over my chest. And I'm like, tell me about if I had my legs done with you. And he actually said, well, the first thing he would do is do the liposuction and then wait 6 months and wear compressions, and then do the loose skin surgery 6 months later, because I live here. So he knew more than I gave him credit for, but it's not his bread and butter, right? It's not the kind of surgery he does every single day. So, to my way of thinking, I really kind of want to go to a surgeon who does this all the time, knows the ins and outs, done it a million times, that kind of thing. So, but we'll see. We'll see what I find. I flew home. I flew home from Utah to Ohio 3 days after my calf surgery. It wasn't bad, but the airport staff gave me trouble. Yeah, and often it's the surgeons, not so much the airport staff, but the surgeons also are like, no, 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 you really shouldn't be traveling. And I know that I've seen that, in many cases, that they want you to stick around. So, for example, if you were to go through my surgeon that did the top half, if you were coming over just for a leg lift, forget the liposuction, forget if you had lipedema or anything like that, you would be required to stay in Thailand, in Bangkok, for 4 weeks before you could fly home to Australia, just for the leg lift. And I think that's for, deep vein thrombosis and blood clots and things like that on the plane going home. Not entirely sure. But I have plenty of time because I have to save the money for the next lot of surgeries. So that will give me time to scope out potentially what's closer to home, and see what I can find. And still, I believe that overseas here, or Turkey, Spain, there's some very good lipedema specialists, is going to be far cheaper than for me to fly home to Australia. So that's definitely sort of where I'm heading with that. And I'm setting myself a goal of maybe in a year's time to have that done. So, but we'll see. We'll see. I only had the lower body lift and the neck and the face stuff done in December. So 6 months later, I've had this stuff. So it'll be really nice to just wait a year before I have any further surgeries, because I am, with the weight loss, with everything else, I feel good. I can walk, no problems. I feel healthy. You know what I mean? So the inflammation's pretty good. Although the last couple of days I have snored. And I know that because my husband's gone out of bed and gone and slept on the couch, right? So snoring for me usually only comes about when I have cheese. That's if I have cheese for a few days in a row, I'm done, right? So that tells me I haven't been having cheese, but it tells me I'm inflamed. So there's a few different things that could be, because I've only just come off the painkillers from this last lot of surgery. It could be, oh God, and I have a feeling I may have a tiny bit of a sniffle or a cold or something. I'm not like, there's something tickly at the back of the throat. But when you have any kind of weird symptoms like snoring, if you don't normally have it, always go to, oh, in general, I must be inflamed, because it's inflammation that causes pretty much everything in our body, right? We always name it something else. We name it a disease like thyroid disease, or lipedema or whatever, but it's always caused by inflammation. So if your inflammation's out of control, then the lipedema is going to be problematic, and that's when you're going to get sore, and anything else that you've got going on is going to get worse. So yeah, so I'm not quite sure what's happened there. We'll just keep an eye on things for a little while. Little clues about inflammation, cheese and snoring. Yeah. No other dairy food will cause me to snore. Oh, no, probably ice cream, but we don't really eat ice cream. So we'll have coconut ice cream when we go to Chatuchak markets. Um, but sour cream, back in Australia, you can't really get sour cream here anyway. You can, but it's really, really expensive. Um, but you've got to know, see, so not all dairy foods will cause me inflammation, just a couple. And I know because I snore. So it's knowing all the things about yourself. I'm a really big, champion of we've got to know ourselves. We can listen to all these things and to listen to all these people till we're blue in the face, but it may not necessarily be what's going on for me or you, right? You've got to go, oh, no, you know what? I can have any kind of dairy food and nothing changes for me. Great. Awesome, right? Um, but it's just taking the basics that everybody sort of talks about and then sort of pulling that apart for you. So definitely for me, anytime there's any kind of illness and I'm rarely sick, I have my vitamin C drink every single freaking morning on an empty stomach, which is meant to keep your upper tract sterile. And I've been doing that since we've both been doing that, my husband and I, since we arrived in Bangkok in September last year. I think there was once we started to feel like we were both getting a bit of a cold, but we haven't had any gastric issues, we haven't had any problems, and that's coming across on the plane. That's we've been on 2 trips since then. We've been to Penang, we've been to, Vietnam, still no illnesses, and I put that down to the vitamin C drink every single morning, so I would highly recommend that. It's a vitamin C 1,000 milligram tablet in water on an empty stomach first thing in the morning. It's the work of Dr. Sarah, somebody or other. If you put in Dr. Sarah vitamin C, you'll probably find her. And she's devoted her life to studying vitamin C. And she believes that if we do that every morning on an empty stomach, it keeps that first part of the gut absolutely clean and bacteria free. And that's where we tend to develop all the problems, which then cause inflammation, which then drives lipedema, right? So that's why we do all these funny little things. And you can only try these things. So we've been doing the vitamin C thing and barely gotten sick, considering how many places we've gone. We get on trains here in Bangkok that is like, sardines packed all the time. We touch, sidewalk things all the time. We eat street food. We do all the things. By rights, we should have been sick at least a handful of times. And no. So for me personally, the vitamin C thing, I'll never not do it, right? So, and vitamin C, you pee out if you have too much of it. So, no big deal, right? So, you can't overdo it. But 1,000 milligrams every morning is it's not even close to being a toxic amount anyway, or an amount that you would pee out. So, um, it's taking these things that you learn on YouTube and that you learn from different people, or that you learn from your doctors or your practitioners or whatever, testing it for yourself. Don't just take it as a blanket rule that, oh, it worked for her, worked for Kylie, it must work for me. Trial it. If you're always getting sick, try the vitamin C thing. Did you not get sick for 6 months, 6 months all of a sudden? Right? You've got to trial these things. It's not just a one rule fits for everybody, unfortunately. It would make life so much easier if it did. But yeah, so that's it. So 5 myths. There's probably a million more myths, right? However, bottom line is finding out what's true for you. It could be a myth for me and it could be true for you, right? So that's the bottom line. It's all about what matters for you. And that's always my stance with anything to do with health. Even when I studied for 4 years and, became a naturopath and nutritionist and all those things, I still pinned everything I learned to me, to my health. And I tested it that way. So I highly recommend that for you. No matter what you learn about your lipedema and any other disease or issue you've got going on, great. That sounds interesting. That resonates with me. If there's something about that, I'm going to try that. Try it for 6 months, then make a decision. All right. I've got a few things on my little hit list that I want to try. I created a 30-day track on my website to help people track symptoms related to food. It's hard for people to know how to track, so I tried to make it easy. Good on you. Pop your website down in the chat there, Beth, so that people can find it and suss it out. Yeah, so that is it for me this week. And yeah, if you're watching and any of these resonate with you or has been your experience that you've just been told to lose weight time and time again, let us know. Let us know in the comments. And even if you're on replay, let us know. And I will see you again this time next week. And we will chat about who knows what. It's whatever comes to my mind on the day. But meanwhile, there'll be another video this week at some point. So happy I found you. I love our Lipedema community. Great live. Thanks so much for stopping by. And thanks for chatting, Beth. And thanks, Mama, for stopping in. And anybody else that's watching, there's a few of you. Thank you. Thank you. And we will see you all next week. I hope you have an amazing week. And I hope you have a pain-free week. And I hope you have a lot of wins in your week. See you later.